Today we are doing day 2 of Law of Exponents. So we are looking at the other 3 rules that we have for exponents. So the first one we're going to talk about is called the quotient property. When you hear the word quotient, we're going to think of a fraction. So this has to do with division, or a fraction where you might have x over y. So this is what we'll be looking at with the quotient property. So again, our examples, what we're going to start with. So first we have x over 7, or x to the power of 7 over x to the power of 3. So these exponents tell us how many we have. So here x to the power of 7 would be 7 x's, 7, and x to the power of 3 would be 3 x's. So when we look at this, anytime you have x over x, that's the same thing as 1, and it cancels out. So here I've got one group of x's that line up and cancel. I have another group of x's that line up and cancel, and I have one more group that line up and cancel. So for our final answer, we want to see how many x's are left. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's left. So our final answer would be x to the power of 4. Let's look at another. Number 2, p to the power of 8. That means I have 8 p's. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Over p to the power of 5. So that means I've got 5 on the bottom. 4, 5. And make that a fraction. So if we look at what lines up, there's one group that lines up, another group, another, and one more. So we look at how many we have left. This time we've got 1, 2, 3 p's left. So that means our answer would be p to the power of 3. And then our last example, we've got v's, v to the power of 9. So that means I'll have 9 v's. I think that's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 v's. And then on bottom, there are 3, v to the power of 3. 1, 2, 3. Make our fraction, and we want to see how many we can cross out. So there's 1, 2, 3. So we see how many are left. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our final answer is v to the power of 6. So just like last time, we can write out all of the x's, all of the letters if you want, or there is a shortcut. So for today, whenever you've got a fraction, when we're canceling out, we're taking away and seeing how many are left. So that means I can take these numbers of 7 and 3, and I can subtract them. If we do 7 minus 3, it leaves us with 4. Here we've got 8 and 5, so if I do 8 minus 5, that leaves me with 3. And last, I've got 9 and 3. 9 minus 3 leaves me with 6. So for our quotient rule, when we've got fractions, what we're left with is x, and then for our rule, we're going to subtract the exponents, m minus n, to see what's left. So that is our quotient rule. All right, next we have a negative exponent. So So this is when that exponent is going to be negative. It'll have our little negative in front. So if you have a negative exponent, we can't have negative exponents. So if we look at number 1, it says x to the negative 4. Negative 4, we don't want that negative. So how we can fix it is by changing this to a fraction. So if I flip this over and I put this over 1, x to the 4, now it's positive. On the next one, 2, I've got n to the negative 2. Again, I can turn this into a fraction. 1 over n to the power of 2. And our last one, 3, a to the negative 7. Again, I can simply flip this over and do 1 over a to the power of 7. So anytime you have a negative exponent, you want to take it from its line and put it on the bottom of a fraction. We'll look at some more examples with negatives, but it's not too difficult. Just make a fraction. So our rule, if we have x to the negative m, is we'll make it a fraction. 1 over x to the power of m. Now this last rule is the easiest rule. It is the 0 exponent. Anytime you have an exponent of 0, your answer is simply 1. Every time. So example 1, x to the power of 0 is 1. F to the power of 0, 1. W to the power of 0, 1 as well. So it's this magical power of the power of 0, which means there's nothing there. So we just have 1. So let's look at some examples that puts this together. So here in our first one we have a fraction. So we have 5 over 20 equals x to the power of 7 over x to the power of 4. So just like we did the other day, we can separate these by what's similar. So I can write 5 over 20, and then I can pull out x to the power of 7, x to the power of 4. So we can use our calculator to help us with 5 over 20. We want to simplify this fraction. So, here we go. I can type in the fraction 5 over 20. So alpha y equals, enter, I get my fraction. I type in 5 over 20. When I press enter, it gives me a smaller fraction. So this 1 over 4 is what I'll use in my answer. And then with x to the power of 7 over x to the power of 4, I can write out, here there's 7. Over, I've got 4 here. I can cross out 1, 2, 3, 4. See that there are 3 left. So I can say I've got 1 over 4, and then these 3 are on top. So I want to keep those 3 on top. So you don't have to put the 1. I could also write this as x to the power of 3 over 4. And if you wanted to subtract these, you could do 7 minus 4 gives me 3, so x to the power of 3. All right, and then our last example, here we have 2a to the power of 2, in parentheses, power of negative 3, a to the power of 10. So first we need to take care of this negative exponent. We said anytime we've got negatives, we don't like negatives, we're going to kick it to the bottom. We're going to make a fraction. So how I would rewrite this is a to the power of 10 is not negative, so that's still on top, over, I'm going to write this whole piece on the bottom. So 2a to the power of 2, and then this 3 is now positive. And then I still have a to the power of 10 on top. So now I can take care of this positive 3. So I still have a to the power of 10 on top, but on bottom I have 3 groups of this 2a to the power of 3. That should be the power of 2, 2a squared. So I need to simplify this part. So I'm going to take all of my whole numbers and multiply them together. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. And then I need to combine my a to the power of 2's. So here, a to the power of 2, I've got 2a's. Here I've got 2 more a's. Here I have 2 more. So all together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a's all together. A to the power of 6. So now I need to take care of these a's. So 8 will still be on the bottom. And then you can write out all the a's, or since this is a fraction, I can do 10 minus 6. And 10 minus 6 will give me 4. So 10 is bigger, so I'll keep a on top, and that will be to the power of 4. All right. If you have any questions, please ask me or Miss B, and you can start working on the practice.